Picture this. The year is 1990. It is around almost summertime in Florida, and you're bored, not knowing what to do, when suddenly on your TV, you see an advertisement for this.
Now, the people who have brought you the magic of Hollywood for over 75 years want to bring it to you like no one else can. To take you inside the heart of a working motion picture and television studio to watch real filmmaking in action and share the secrets, the spectacle, the glamour that have made not only great entertainment, but entertainment history. Universal Studios, Florida, premiering in Orlando, spring 1990. It's the greatest Hollywood production ever.
I still get chills every time I watch this. Oh my god. Universal Studios Florida opened on June 7th of 1990. Pretty much the original idea for Universal was you got to see the stars and ride the movies. This became a whole new perspective for theme park goers as well as movie lovers to theme rides and experiences around different iconic Universal movies. From Jaws to King Kong, there were a lot of different interesting rides if you went to Universal on opening day. But out of all those rides, there's only one opening day attraction that is still there in the year 2024, and that is E.T Adventure. In the summer of 1982, the film E.T the Extraterrestrial hit theaters, and I will say, even though I was not born around that time, it was a massive fucking hit, and it was all thanks to Steven Spielberg as well as John Williams, who composed probably one of the best cinematic scores ever. Pretty much E.T became the child of Steven Spielberg, even going off to have a sequel. Steven Spielberg has a very close relationship with Universal, being a main distributor for most of his movies. We're talking about Jaws and Jurassic Park. So I don't think it's really surprising that when Universal Studios Florida was in development that Steven wanted to have a main part of it. I mean, most of the studio's hits were by Steven. I meant, like, it just makes sense to have him as an executive as well as like a creator for your theme park. There was the Jaws ride, which is based on one of his movies, but he also has E.T. If you took Peter Pan's flight and not make it short, that's E.T. Like I said before, it opened on opening day of June 7th of 1990 with pretty positive reviews. It literally took you into the world of E.T, and I think that is a huge success since they had Peter Alexander, a former Disney Imagineer. We'll learn more about Peter's work with E.T Adventure, but I would like you all to know he's very big with Universal because he created the King Kong animatronic for both the studio tour as well as the ride at Universal Studios Orlando Confrontation. So this guy knows his shit. So let's finally take this deep dark rabbit hole into one of Universal's oldest attractions, the E.T Adventure.
Hey, Elliot, where's your goblin?
Shut up.
Did he come back?
Well, did he?
Yeah, he came back. But he's not a goblin. He's a spaceman.
We're gonna start a little bit before the construction of Universal. Universal Hollywood was not a theme park. They mostly just did the studio tours, but they would bring movie level stuff to it. One of these big encounters in the studio tour was the King Kong encounter, which Steven Spielberg was part of the construction of that animatronic. He pretty much looked at this animatronic and was like, who is this person who made this, and how do we get him to make all the films that I've done into attractions. Luckily for Steven, that was his old college roommate, Peter Alexander. He wanted to see firsthand what Universal's creative team were capable of because he was going to be a main partner for Universal Studios Florida. Alexander gave Spielberg a preview, like I said, of the King Kong animatronic, and he was just blown away. It was like, dude, you need to make some of this shit real, like some of my movies real for this new park, which he did. One future attraction Spielberg began to work on was around 1989, themed after his 1982 film E.T. Alexander worked closely with Steven and led the Universal creative team on this dark ride attraction. Alexander did find the task a little bit challenging, but he said it definitely had an emotional impact once the ride was done and everything for him and for Steven, because pretty much they had to make the Green Planet, which was not shown in any of the films, into a real life place for the attraction because it was going to be a main element for the ride. But it was pretty much very emotional for both Alexander and Spielberg to see the Green Planet come to life. Following Steven's advice, it's mostly inspired by the E.T. Green Book by William Coswinkle. I'm sure I'm saying the last name wrong, but when you have the last name of Winkle in it, don't judge. What, you Winkle?
Oh my God, bro.
You don't even periwinkle?
Man, what the fuck, man?
Winkle is like another fucking way to say, oh yeah, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm going to the Winkle. The sequel is called The Green Planet. It's a weird sequel. I meant, like, E.T. doesn't want Elliot to go through puberty, which is weird. But if it wasn't for the book, I am sure the E.T. ride would be very different. So, go you, Mr. Winkle. You did good. With that, mixed with Alexander's childlike experience, they were able to make the Green Planet as accurate as they can. The one thing that made the ride very unique was to have guests be a part of it, which we will cover later in the video. So, E.T Adventure opened in 1990 with the opening of Universal Studios Florida. Because it was so popular in Florida, they actually opened 2 other E.T Adventures. The one in Hollywood opened around summertime of 1991, and the other version of the ride opening with Universal Japan in 2001. Now that we know the basic information, let's jump into the ride experience that's still at Universal Orlando today. So pretty much at the beginning of the ride, you'll see you kind of enter this normal queue before you get into the actual queue of the ride. It talks a lot about the behind the scenes stuff with E.T. for its 30th anniversary. You see Spielberg talking about it. You also see, I think, a young Drew Barrymore as well. And you also get to see the guy who played Elliot, I think before he got the DOAs, but I'm not completely sure. While you're outside in the exterior queue, you kind of see a soundstage going in. And you're thinking, Kira, why are they just showing the soundstage? Do they just not care that much about this ride? Well, originally, you, as a guest, were about to take in part of the new E.T. sequel that isn't the book. The old pre-show in the 90s used to have Steven eating popcorn, rewatching E.T. for some reason. I guess because he just loves that guy so much. He's also watching E.T. with E.T. and they kind of have like that popcorn moment where like they touch each other's hands, they look into each other's eyes, and they make out. That unfortunately the make out part doesn't happen, but I wish. Steven explains that you are going to be filming for the new E.T. sequel, which that is not the ride story anymore, but hey, I think it's important to include defunct stuff about even opened attractions, so now you know why the soundstage is like that. But once you get near those doors with inspiring quotes about the ride, you go into the pre-show area. So before you enter into the interior queue, you watch a little video instruction by Steven Spielberg overhead. Hello, I'm Steven Spielberg. Steven explains that E.T.'s teacher Botanica, I don't know why I said Botanica, His name is Botanicus. Just to clear it out, his name is Botanicus, not whatever I fucking just said. It has asked E.T. to return home because the green planet is dying. Only E.T.'s magic healing touch can save the planet. It's up to the guest to bring him home and to save his planet. Steven does describe the journey will be on bikes, which don't worry, you don't have to pedal them, but you do need an interplanetarium passport to go through and help him out. He doesn't really do a safety spiel in this. Well, you don't really need a safety spiel if you're going on fucking bikes. But pretty much just explaining that, getting the guest immersed and everything into the story of you are going to have E.T. travel light years away to save his home planet. So prior to the refurbishment in 2002 for the 20th anniversary, the passes weren't the passports, they were actually security badges for you to wear since you're going to be cast into the E.T. sequel. So I just wanted to add that because that's how the passes were used originally. So right after the video, you go and get your your passport to go into fucking space for some reason. This actually utilized a cool system. They get these passports that have your name on it, and before you get into the ride vehicle, they scan the passport. Now you're thinking like, what's this interplanetarium like TSA system? Well, at the end, to add the guest a little bit into the ride, E.T. does get to say your name. They pretty much have this cool computer system of how that has generated a bunch of names so E.T. can say everyone's name, which as the ride has gotten older has not been consistent because there are multiple times I've been on the ride and they say completely different names and the vehicle behind us gets our names. I think it's a cool idea, but I feel like they really need to update the system. It's like, I feel like they are still using the old machines, but you can make better equipment to get that going on. Once you get your passport, you go into the Redwoods, one of the major spots for the E.T. movie, where Elliot would go a lot with E.T., where like the famous bike scene happens. In the dark forest, we see different scenes of happening where there's police setups and everything, as well as different things referencing the E.T. movie. There is an animatronic of E.T.'s teacher Botanicus, who periodically emerges from behind the thick plume of the fog and lighting, completing E.T.'s return, which is this older E.T. that has a little crystal ball that shows his friends, which are interesting to say the least. I'll probably go over them once we get to their part of the ride. But Botanicus is pleading to the people waiting in line for E.T. to come home. Like his life depends on it. Like he's in love with him or something. Like, what? Along with the queue line, guests pass by the communication device that E.T. constructed in the film to phone home, including the speak and spell prop, which says help E.T. An animatronic rabbit is somewhat hidden within the queue. I didn't even know this. Which referenced the bunny that's at the opening of the E.T. film. Glowing red heart can also be occasionally moving through the trees to signify E.T.'s run from the police in the film. And the queue ends at the loading station. That pretty much gets us to the ride experience. Well, it only took us, like 13 and a half minutes for us to get to the actual ride. But now you all know your shit about this ride, so this ride experience should be different than any other ride experience if you've ever been on it. So let's get into the ride. Before loading, they get you into 3 different sections of different bikes. They're all differently covered, but if you do get the first row, you see a basket in the front, which if you've never seen E.T., you probably don't know what the fuck it is. And they have a little animatronic of E.T. that pops out now and again during the ride. I will say it's pretty special. Like the first time I went on it, I was like, what's this alien doing? Yeah, but it has a lap bar and everything, and like I said before, you don't have to pedal, which I still think it'd be cool to have the pedals there to kind of have just like a fidget thing, but that's my autism. Once you get into the vehicle, you go right into the adventure. See different police and everything in the woods. They're chasing after you. There's that one guy who's like, oh, right there. Whoa! He's my favorite animatronic. You see different NASA vehicles and police officers who are trying to catch you. You also see a weird animatronic owl, which is interesting. Once they have you cornered and you feel like you're not going to go anywhere, E.T. pops up and makes your bikes fly.
Ah! You're getting away! Look, you're flying!
It's the movie moment. It's like what they did in the movie. I think think it's pretty cool thinking back like the first time, and even now as a 22-year-old going onto this ride and being like, whoa, like this is cool. Definitely in the front with E.T. It's a magical moment. They really captured the ride the movies section of that, and I still like holds up today. But Lord have mercy, thou'st we are about to enter the Green Planet, the weirdest fucking planet ever. It's like you're in a motherfucking fever dream. The bikes are transformed to a portal area with flashing lights. When finally turn around, you are at the Green Planet. It is dying. Lava's everywhere. Botanicus is like, E.T. Go to Tickly! Hurry! Which is like, who the fuck is Tickly? E.T. has 3 friends. You have Tickly, who is like this little like vine creature. Then you have Mordog. So featuring Eddie and Kira here. Yeah, so the time that I recorded that, I didn't realize his name was actually Ordon, not Mordog. The only reason I figured it out because I had to add him to the thumbnail. But yeah, I'm gonna be saying Mordog, which is stupid, and I'm not gonna edit it, but his name is Ordon, which is so much more of an awesomer name than whatever the fuck Mogdog is. Mordog, by the way, is my favorite E.T. friend. He's like this little mushroom guy, and like me and my mom, anytime we go on, he says the line, welcome home, you go on. And then, Magdog. Who is the creepiest thing. People think that the things in the Cat in the Hat ride are scary. Fucking go on the E.T. ride and see Magdoll. She is a nightmare. She should have her own Halloween Horror Nights house. After you pass Magdoll, she thanks you for saving the planet and to celebrate with everybody, which gets you into a nice little ending with a bunch of little E.T.s who are really cute, and they're all just playing around and everything. It's like a bunch of different animatronics. It's very cute, but also at the same time, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went on this ride one time after a full day at the theme park, and we just like landed because this is when I wasn't living in Florida, so I was tired, and I went on this ride. And going in the experience, I really thought like someone drugged me or something, because it's just like, oh my god, shapes and colors and everything. It is peaceful, but it does have that little bit of a creepy vibe to it. Definitely still now, since it hasn't really changed since opening, but I still like it. You go through a water area, and if you're lucky you go right to E.T, but sometimes you have to stop and wait, and it sometimes takes forever. You get to E.T, he says your names, saying goodbye to all the friends and everything, and that's where the ride ends. And when you get out of the ride vehicle and you're heading near the gift shop, you can hear E.T saying, right here. And that is pretty much the ride there.
Even long, I was, you're not supposed to fall in love with your own ride, but I fell in love with E.T. I fell in love with that ride. That was even without the John Williams score.
And needless to say, the ride is not perfect. With it being an older ride, they haven't really changed it a lot. But why even is this ride still here? I meant, like, it's over 30 years old now. Why haven't they replaced it? So, March 14th of 2003 at Universal Hollywood, the ride was replaced with Revenge of the Mummy. And Steven didn't even know the ride was going to be closed. Like, he found out and was very pissed off about it. Universal was scared that Steven was going to not work with them anymore, so they reassured him that the Japan version and the Orlando version were still open and that they had no plan of closing them. Again, realize this is Steven Spielberg's child, like his baby. He was like, as long as you don't close Japan's or Orlando's version, we'll be fine, which Universal said, yeah, totally. And that was until May 10th of 2009. They replaced it with the Space Fantasy right there, which made Orlando's E.T. the last E.T. ride in all of Universal. The rumor that I've heard throughout the theme park community as well as all of Universal, when Japan closed, Steven went to Universal Studios and told them that if they closed the Orlando's E.T., that he would no longer be a creative consultant for Universal and never make a film with Universal again, which is very, very strong. But like I said, it's been there for so long. I meant, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Any E.T. video I've seen up until now has had this story in. At the end of the day, Steven Spielberg is a powerful god who has worked with Universal for so many years. If they lose him as not only a director, but as a creative consultant for their theme parks, I have no idea what would be the future for Universal in general. He is Universal. He is the all-power mighty god of Universal. So, where does that leave this ride today? I mean, E.T. is still there. After all they have just done in the area where E.T. is, it is still there. And it is still thriving. Mind you, it does have a lower wait time because it's mostly a kid's ride. But people still go on this ride. I want to share a story with you guys that I feel like just needs to be in this video. At my current job I'm at, you see people come in and out from the theme parks all the time. And there was this little girl with an E.T. doll. I was talking to her parents. I was like, does she even know what E.T. is? And she interrupted and it was like, E.T. is one of my favorite things ever. I love this alien. And I think that caught me off guard because we do have a new generation of people loving this film. No matter how cheesy it is, no matter how badly it's aged, or no matter how Steven Spielberg's career is going right now, it is still a classic movie. It is timeless. I know I poke at this ride a lot in this video, but I really do not know where I would be if this ride didn't exist. Since about the age of 12, I have loved different theme park attractions, and I hate how most theme park attractions I love are still not there. So I don't take E.T. for granted. Each time I go on that, each time I get scared of Magdoll, I am grateful each time going on that ride and knowing that it will probably stay there for a very, very long time. And with Universal updates lately and everything, I understand if they need to get rid of this ride. But I think as long as Steven is alive, this ride is still gonna thrive. It's still gonna memorize so many people with how amazing and maybe how scary it is. Universal doesn't really have their own Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion, but E.T. can be considered as a Pirates, as a Haunted Mansion. E.T. is truly one of the best dark rides ever. And I think one reason I love to go on this ride, me and my mom always talk about this one photo she's taken back in the 90s of her going through the forest. And I think it's still pretty cool to see we can go through that same forest as she did when she was my age. If you made it to this point of the video, it's the end, and I thank you guys so much. I've been wanting to make an in-depth theme park video for a while, and it's nice to finally start a channel around some of the stuff I love. So I thank you guys for supporting by just checking out the video. If you want to, you can leave a like. I just want to have some special dedications. First, I want to thank my boyfriend Harry and my best friend Marshall. They really helped a lot with this video by taking notes and everything, and taking some of their time out of the day to just watch different sections of this video to make sure it was good. So I thank them so much from my heart. I also want to thank Ryan from the Love of Theme Parks. He helped out a little bit by providing some clips from his videos to help with this, so I want to thank him a lot. I also want to thank the creators who provided clips on YouTube for this video. I actually have a playlist down in the description that shows off all the videos I use certain clips from, so please check that out, because I wouldn't even have a video if it wasn't for them. And of course, I want to thank my mother. She helped provide the photo at the end of the video, so I do really thank her a lot for just, you know, being there for me and everything. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think E.T. is gonna be still around until Steven Spielberg dies, or do you think they're gonna get rid of it? Just let me know. I am up to discussion with anybody, so yeah, leave a comment if you want to. I'll see you later, theme park nerds.